My name is Michelle Reinhardt. I'm the president of Blue Action Southwest. I know that we have folks from all over, so thank you. Thanks for joining. We hope to make this next hour and 20 minutes helpful and productive. So I just want to go over a couple of things. We're waiting for a couple of our guests to join us, and I just want to go over a couple of things related to the meeting. The first is you're going to be muted when you come in, and we'll continue to mute you if you unmute yourself. The best way to communicate with us is chat. We've got our meeting monitors taking a watch on that, and of course, you guys can watch as well. We'll be combing that for questions for our guests. Unfortunately, today we will not have time to speak with our candidates. We heard a great deal from them last time on how they're coping and working with the current environment. At the very end of the meeting, Julie Oliver is going to join and show us a new tool that she's using very briefly. But other than that, we're just not going to be able to accommodate hellos from candidates, and we're sorry about that. We hope to spend all of next month reviewing the candidates and hearing from them, the folks who will be on the July ballot. So with that, I have a quick presentation. I just want to say hi, welcome. Our stay-at-home order does extend until May 8th. We're going to hear from the mayor in just a minute about what the future holds for that. Of course, the governor has opened up a few businesses on a limited basis. I hope you guys are coping well. It's really touch and go for me every day. Today is not a good day. It's a lot, right? It's a lot to deal with. It's a lot to deal with. Everything takes like 10 times longer and 10 times more effort. So I hope that you're doing well. Just know you're not alone in your frustration and anxiety. I think we're all there. But I do have something fun to announce, and I just want to let you guys know we are going to have something called Dinner for Democracy. And look at this beautiful, beautiful logo. If Evelina Warren is on, she designed this in a moment, like literally. I texted her and I said, "You feeling creative? Because I need something." So she whipped this up in like, I don't know, 5 hours, something like that. So she's amazing. Thank you, Evelina, if you're here or not. Let's see, we have some details about this. We are going to be doing this on May 13th, so a week from Wednesday, and this is going to be super fun. So what we have planned is we're partnering with a local restaurant. Galaxy Cafe is reopening this Monday for curbside only. They're going to do some curbside dinners for us, and we can pick those up. And then we get to join a Zoom call like this, and we're going to hear from Donna Howard and Vicki Goodwin. And I know Vicki's on, so thank you, Vicki. I don't know if we got back to you to let you know that we are confirmed, but surprise. We picked the date around their schedules, so we're hoping that that will work out. And we're just going to hear from them about what's going on, what's happening with special session and that kind of thing. So we'll tap them for some ideas. If you guys have some ideas about what we want to hear from them about, let us know. Again, it's a very similar format. You join, you have dinner before, whatever you want to do. I figure we pick it up between 6 and 6:45. We'd all jump on the Zoom and have a little sesh. We'd like for you to order by Monday, the 11th at 5, so we can get that over to Galaxy. And it's kind of a combo. It's supporting their business. It's also giving us a little bit of margin because we don't see you guys. So we're not selling t-shirts, and we're not selling hats, and we're not doing all those things that we typically do to raise money along the way. To buy postcards and things like that. So here's the link. You can go right now and buy a ticket or 4 tickets or whatever you want to do. It's a set. It's like a price fixed thing. And the cool thing is you've got different choices for dinner. They're going to throw in a free cookie for every meal. Isn't that awesome? So you're going to get a cookie too. And then you're going to get to chit chat with your reps. And I think that would be fun and a little less structured than this kind of format where we have, stuff we got to get done and stuff. So that's happening. It's an idea. We're going to see how it goes, and maybe we can continue it because we all need something to look forward to, don't we? All right, LaDonna says that's a great idea. So awesome. Okay. So that's the latest. So for those of you who are new to this group, we are the Blue Action Democrats. And this chapter is based in Southwest Austin. We started it in 2018, a group of us, and then we just decided to really focus on Democratic turnout in Southwest Austin. And it was really the brainchild of our former president, Carrie Collier-Brown, who may be on this call. She has now rolled off of our board and has created the Texas Blue Action Democrats. So Texas Blue Action Democrats are now focused on flipping those 17 under 10 House districts. So 17 districts, they're either won by Republicans by less than 10 votes or won by Beto in that race in 2018. So we are very focused on getting out the Democratic vote. We have helped, people like Vicki Goodwin flip that House district seat. We're going to help her maintain that House district seat in 2020. And we're going to engage more voters. And we've been doing that. Over the primary, we had a 31% turnout, which is astounding for a primary. If you want more information on that, you can go to our website as well. What else did I want to say there? We wrote 8,500 postcards for the primary, and we knocked 5,000 doors. Now, of course, with COVID, our mission is the same, but how we get that done is going to be a little bit different. So I do want to let you guys know that we do have postcards to write. These are bundles in groups of 50. Mary's already gotten me her 100 back and taken 100 more. They're on my porch. I have not touched them. And so you can come and do a, touchless pickup. I apologize to the person, when it rains, I do bring them in so they don't get wet. So if they're not out there, you can knock and I'll bring, put my mask on and bring the box out. So we do have those postcards. If you want to help us get ready for the fall, that would be awesome. Let's see, sorry about that. Okay. Also, just want to let people know that they can become a member. I know a lot of times we do really renew a lot of memberships when we're, in person. We're not doing those in-person things, so we do want to encourage you guys to become a member. It's just 25 bucks. We have over 400 members, but we do have a lot of renewals coming. And what can really, really help us this time is to go ahead and renew your membership. We know it's a difficult time. We know there's a lot of requests for help and need and that sort of thing. But know that every dollar that you support us with goes to those things. We have very little overhead, and we're buying the postcards and we're buying the flyers, and we're figuring out how to get to those voters to make sure they know how to vote. So blueactiondems.com, wherever you are. North Austin has a chapter, South Central has a chapter, Bexar County has a chapter. So if you're in one of those areas, you can go to our website, locate your chapter, and then join your chapter. So of course, for those in Southwest Austin, we'd love your support. Okay, so that is what's going on. I do want to really focus this meeting on a couple of issues. I want to really talk about mail-in ballots. I want to talk to the mayor about what's going on with the COVID situation. And then I want to give you guys some action, some actionable things that you can do without putting yourself at risk, without endangering anyone, to let people know what their options are for voting. So, and then at the end, again, we'll have Julie kind of show us that. So, yeah, Bear Blue Action is in the house. Susan Corbell's there. She's the president of that chapter. So welcome, Susan. Thank you guys for joining. Erica, do we have Glenn yet?
No, I don't see him, and I shot him an email and I've not heard back yet.
Okay. All right. So we may, is the mayor on?
No, I don't see him either.
Okay. All right. So
yeah, Paige.
We have Paige. Okay, awesome. So what we might do is just dive into some of the mail-in ballot information, and then if Glenn can join us, we'll circle back and catch some of that. So let's talk about mail-in ballots. So there's been a lot of information, and I'm going to really be very careful about my language here because of some of the information that the Attorney General has put out. I'm putting on kind of my, former reporter hat and just letting you know very clearly about what we know at this point. Okay, so as of April 17th, we had Travis County Judge Tim Sulik have a ruling. And he ruled that any voter who votes, and I'm going to quote his ruling, in person while the virus that causes COVID-19 is still in general circulation presents a likelihood of injuring their health. So if you could be injured by going to the polls, that's what he's saying, you are entitled to apply for mail-in ballot under the disability provision. Now remember, our state law does limit who can apply for a mail-in ballot. There's 4 provisions. You have to be disabled. You have to be 65 or over in age. You have to potentially be in jail but not have lost your voting rights, or you need to be out of the county of voting for longer than the early vote period. So if you have an extended travel situation, if you are a college student who is going to be out of the county, you can then apply for a mail-in ballot. What the judge has said on the 17th is that he's expanding the disability provision, or he's interpreting the existing disability provision to incorporate the possibility of getting sick from COVID. That's what it's saying. So that was his ruling on the 17th. The reason I wanted Glenn, oh, Glenn's here. Hooray. Yay, your timing is perfect, Glenn. So that is what the ruling was. This week we got a follow-up letter from our Attorney General. And this is the quote from him, and I'm just gonna read it. Mail-in ballots based on disability are specifically reserved for those who are legitimately ill and cannot vote in person without assistance or jeopardizing their health. He said in a statement, the integrity of our democratic election process must be maintained and law established by our legislature must be followed consistently. My office will continue to defend the integrity of Texas election laws. I'm not being sarcastic at all. Okay, so with that set up, I want to turn it over to Glenn to kind of take us to the next level. What's happened since we heard that? We're going to be very careful in not telling you what to do, but we're going to just try to give you some information and really focusing on that July runoff. So Glenn, are you here? Can you?
I'm here.
You're fantastic. What's going on?
So since Judge Sulik issued his order, the state of Texas Attorney General's office has appealed to the Third Court of Appeals. The Third Court has ordered that all the documents be turned over to them within 2 weeks. That has happened. The Third Court, a Democratic majority court, has not issued a stay. The court order is still in place. The Attorney General's or Solicitor General of the state of Texas made an email suggestion to our attorneys that the mere act of them appealing stayed the order. Well, any first-year law student knows that's not true. The Third Court would have to issue a stay. There's no automatic stays in law. So the court order is in effect. Since then, the Attorney General has made a couple of statements and news releases and then issued an opinion, he said, not a typical opinion that there was a request from an elected official to interpret a law, but he just issued an opinion. And that's exactly what it is. It's Ken Paxton's kitchen table opinion. It has no force of law. So let me just go back for those who've read the Constitution in Texas. The Attorney General issues opinions between legislative sessions when there needs to be clarity in what a law means. And his opinions tell us what the law means until a court issues an order. judges, when they issue an order, actually tell us exactly what the law means. Tim Shulock, Judge Shulock, has told us what the law means. That has not been overturned by a higher court. Kim Paxton in after the fact and saying, this is my opinion, is it. And I say to Kim Paxton, but a stump. Secondly, he made a threat that people might be prosecuted for following a district judge's order. That also is bullshit. And I'll use that term very clearly. If he wishes to prosecute someone under this law, he's going to have to prosecute tens of thousands of people, because tens of thousands of people are going to ask for ballots to vote by mail under this court order. Now, the Secretary of State has issued some, let's just say, wishy-washy advice that says voters should follow their local county clerk's interpretation of the law and court orders. We know across Texas that clerks and election administrators who are the early voting clerks in many, many counties are publicly publishing that they are following the court order, accepting ballots from anyone, mail ballot requests from anyone. There are many other election administrators and clerks who haven't made any public statement, but know that if by 10-year, 20-year practice SOS rulings, if they get an application that disability is marked, that they cannot ask the reason of the disability. They can't say, are you blind? Are you deaf? Are you immobile? Or are you, do you have an infectious disease? Or are you, is your medical condition being healthy and that you are social distancing because going to a polling place could put you at risk? They cannot ask what the disability is. So it is my belief that almost every clerk in Texas is processing whatever application they get with disability marked. Now, knowing that we will have now uneven, perhaps, interpretation of a judge's ruling, which is a state district judge who's made it enforceable statewide because the Attorney General interceded in this case. But to get clarity, the Texas Democratic Party has moved this suit as a federal lawsuit under the 14th, the 26th, and the First Amendment, including the First Amendment right for Glenn Maxey to tell anybody who's social distancing that they can get a ballot. There, I said it publicly. If Mr. Paxton, you want to prosecute, I've got First Amendment rights. There's no First Amendment right any clearer than telling somebody that they can cast a ballot. So we have a federal suit filed a week ago, or almost a week ago. And we will have a hearing on that, I expect, in the next couple of weeks. It's in San Antonio court with Judge Fred Beery. Judge Beery is a longtime progressive Democrat who was elected or appointed to the federal bench by Bill Clinton. And so he will make a ruling that will be a statewide ruling under federal law that perhaps will put everybody to ease. And we expect to have that within plenty of time for people who are hesitant to have time to ask for a ballot before the June 14th runoff election. So a lot of drama. You can download a vote by mail application on the TDP website.
Did you guys see that? I just brought it up. Did you guys see the TDP website?
You can, I will post a link in a second. When I try to do this, I sometimes cut off my camera. So
yeah, no, it's fine. I've got it up. And so basically, if you go to this website, I just shared out. Oops, I shared it to somebody privately. If you go to that website, that's what I'm showing you guys. It's very simple. This fill out a vote by mail application, if you click on that, it takes you to a form. And Lori Iserloh made an excellent point. If you are 65 plus, please do this today. Do this today. And it's very simple. I filled it out, fill it out, you click the one of the 4 criteria, and then you have, and I'm going to show you this because I filled it out just to show you guys. You have this preview. Do you see the preview? And it's like a letter. It's really simple. And it says, hey, this is what I'm, submitting as. You sign it, you date it, and you send it to the clerk. And
when you do this anywhere in Texas, when you put in your county, it's going to give you the instructions going to your county clerk. So you can tell your mom over in Bear County and your aunt over in Parker County, and they will get the correct application. There's also a second link that anybody who doesn't have a printer can download. And we'll have that posted soon everywhere. And I mean, fill out the information that comes to us, and then we print out an application, send it to the voter with an addressed envelope, so that if they don't have a printer at home, they can have us send them a pre-filled application. We're urging people, don't send people to the Secretary of State's website for that complex form that does all 4 reasons, because if the senior doesn't, or the voter does not check annual and Democratic primary, runoff, and there's a lot of check boxes. And if you miss the annual one, you'll get the Democratic runoff, but you won't get the November ballot. So the number one thing, if you're doing it on a SOS form, or you're just writing a handwritten note, you got to say your name, your address, where you want the ballot to be sent, and the date of the elections. Or if you write annual, and people who are over 65 or people who are doing disability for any reason can put annual on it, and it will get the runoff election and the November election and any runoff elections that are local on the November ballot.
So we have a few really rapid fire questions here that we're just going to quickly go over. Some of them I know the answer to, some of them you may have more information for us. Can you mail multiple forms together? I've done it successfully. I say yes.
Yes, if you print out a form, and we have some very simple ones for disabled and seniors that have Dana's address at the top. It's an 8.5 by 11. You can print 100 of these. You can walk down your street and get 100 people, or if you were able to visit a senior center or be at anywhere, and just say, fill out a vote by mail application. You can collect 100 of them. You can put them in a brown envelope. You can send them to Dana. The only thing is, they're in the bottom corner of these applications, there's a place for assistant. So if you collect them and mail them for people that are not related to you or not in your home, I mean, husband, wife, do it for your parents, all of those kinds of things, you can just do those without filling in the assistant and put them all in the same envelope. If they're in the same residence or you're related to them as parents or brother, siblings or whatever. But if you're just going down the street, if we were able to do that and collect up 100 of them, you must mail them in. This is a really quirky thing in state law. If you're a deputy voter registrar and you get voter registration applications, you must take them in and hand them to Bruce Elfont. However, if you fill out 100 vote by mail applications, you don't need to be deputized. You just need to put your name in that assistance box at the bottom, and you must mail them. You cannot drop them off. So as we get to, let's just say that we go forward with this and we have a final ruling, expect the Texas Democratic Party, the DCCC, the DSCC, and the Biden campaign to send an application to every Democrat in Texas. There will be plenty of money to do that. So just know that by, I mean, maybe not for the primary, because we might not be all the way through the courts, but if we get a federal court ruling that anybody can vote by mail, or the Congress passes something, when that happens, there will be enough money to send one to several, 10 million Texans. So never fear that the party and the campaigns candidates will make that happen statewide.
So I just also shared out this information sheet that a couple of our precinct chairs put together, and we got some help on that, just making sure that the vote by mail system, everybody understands it. There's a lot of your questions are answered in this document. Goes through a lot of that stuff about college and pro tips about signatures and all that good stuff. So use this, and then if there are questions that we haven't answered, we can get those answers for you and combine them in this document. So Glenn, do you want to quickly tell us about the state convention?
Sure.
Move on.
State convention, all online. We're in the process now of everybody who is a delegate updating their list. We're putting out an email this week. We'll have lots of caucus meetings, and because not everybody got to register to vote in caucus elections, everybody's going to be asked whether they want to join the Black Caucus, the Hispanic Caucus, the LGBT Caucus. So we'll have that opportunity from now to May 15th. Anybody who's running for national delegate, or any committees or state executive committee or presidential elector, has till May 15th to register on our website, texasdemocraticconvention.com. The elections for all of these offices will happen over a 2-week period from May 15th to June the 1st. All our standing committees meetings will be Zoom meetings where the general public can watch what happens. All of our caucuses, and they're going to be great this year because they're going to have panel discussions and trainings and issue caucuses and all of the groups of the state. They will be published on Monday through Thursday of convention week. All of those caucuses and trainings and panel discussions will happen. It's going to be sort of a Trib Fest, South by Southwest kind of experience of a Democratic convention. And then on Friday and Saturday, the traditional days, June 5th and 6th, we'll have all of our national speakers. Nancy Pelosi will address the convention. All of it will be live streamed to both delegates and the public, so any Texan will be able to watch. We've got some other big news that we can't announce yet of people who will be speaking, but it'll be a fun week. So you don't have to watch Netflix the first week of June. You'll have politics out your ears.
Yay, awesome. Thanks, Glenn. Thanks for jumping in here and kind of showing us the ropes on vote by mail. It's always great to hear what's updated. And then we should just watch for that federal case coming up. You think it's going to be this week?
Well, it's filed, and you asked for the hearing, and it's federal court. You don't know how long it will take. So we believe that the judge, and the federal things are never quick, but we think that sometime in the coming 2 weeks or so, he will post the time of the hearing. Then there will be a state hearing. I'm having so much fun with this stuff. I have the Texas Democratic Party now has 8 federal lawsuits plus the state lawsuits. So I've been now a witness in a case, and I am the official representative of the state party in all 8 of these cases. So I'm doing 4 or 5 hour depositions for each one of them.
We should all have so much fun.
being interrogated by Ken Paxton's AGs, assistant AGs in these depositions is so much fun. And I have gotten to be pretty expert after my first 2 on how to answer the question, nothing but the question, so help me God, and not get tied up in all of their picky ass trip you up kind of questions.
Right.
So it's been great fun. I wish they could be public because they are really fun.
All right. Thank you, Glenn. Appreciate your
Well,
help with this. And we'll be talking soon, I'm sure.
I'm building my chicken coop in planting a garden, so I'm back outside for that.
Oh, good.
I was late.
All right. Thank you again.
Thank you.
All right. So now I want to kind of shift gears and share the COVID information. I have so many windows open. My apologies. And bring the mayor up and see what is new with COVID. I have a lot of questions, so I'm hoping he's ready.
I'm here and ready, Michelle.
All right, awesome. Hey, Mayor, how are you?
Doing well.
Thank you for making time for us. And I know our District 8 rep, Paige Ellis, is also on with us. So if she wants to unmute and join the fun as well. So
We also have one of our colleagues, Councilmember Alter. If she wants to unmute too, then you have all of us here.
Okay, awesome. We have a panel here. We didn't even plan it that way.
That's fantastic.
So, oh, and just so in case anyone thinks I'm drinking beer, this is a High Dive water from Austin. It's delicious. It comes in a brown bottle. Okay, I'm not drinking yet. Okay, so my big question is, what happens on May 8th? Do we have stay-at-home orders extended?
Yes, the city's going to extend our order, and I think it's real important that we do that because I think there's a lot of confusion as to what it was that the governor did. What he did in his order was not exactly the same as what he talked about doing. The governor wouldn't act to issue a stay-at-home ordinance in order, as you recall, back a month or so ago. So it took the large urban cities and counties around the state to do it ourselves. That's what put everybody back into this social distancing. After that happened, then the governor entered his. And importantly, he joined. He said that everybody shall, the language of his ordinance, everybody shall stay at home, minimize social gatherings and in-person contact, not in the same household. That was his order. Now, he had an exception in his order, and that was for essential services, essential activities, similar to what we had here. All that the governor did last week, I think, two things. The first one is he increased the number of exceptions to his general rule. So now his order reads exactly the same words. Everyone shall minimize social gatherings and in-person contact, not in the same household, except, instead of saying just essential services, it now also says reopen services. But the general rule is still the same, even in the governor's order. The other thing that the governor did was he recommended that everybody wear face coverings because he says it's real important. The lieutenant governor stood up and said it was real important and everybody should do it. Obviously, I say that. The county judge says that. All the public health officials all say that. But the governor said that we weren't allowed to enforce that now with criminal or civil penalties. So when you take all that into account, what's going to happen is we're going to extend the city order this week. It's going to be an extension of exactly what we had in place before, except that it has to allow the same exceptions for reopened services that the governor has. And second, we're going to continue to keep face coverings mandatory, but we're not going to have criminal or civil penalties. From here out going forward, the penalty for failing to wear a face covering is that more people are going to get infected and some of them are going to die. I mean, ultimately, that is the penalty for us not wearing face coverings. And we're going to just be more direct. You know, we were never able to enforce any of this stuff with arresting people or putting them in the jail. We don't have enough police officers and enough sheriffs. It really takes a community deciding that it's important enough to do. I hope that people do. So here's a really high picture, and then I'll go to questions. We don't know, and either does the governor, what the impact is going to be of reopening businesses, because that increases the number of physical interactions. What we know is that what we have done decreases the spread of the virus by about 94% over the spread that would have occurred if we hadn't done anything. going back to where we were in the past.
Mhm.
The modelers tell us that we don't need to stay at 94% in order to be able to avoid a spike. We just have to stay north of 80%. So we have new rules. We don't know whether under these new rules we'll stay at 84 or 82 or if we'll go down to 40%. No one knows. And because we don't know, we have to watch every day the numbers coming in. What we do know is that the time that our community gave us over the last 6 weeks to get ready has enabled us to really hone how we gather that information, to really establish what the curves are. So we're going to monitor new cases. We're going to monitor, most importantly, hospitalizations. We're going to monitor people that are on ventilators. We're going to monitor the PPE supply that we have. And we'll be able to tell what line we are on. And if we end up getting on a line that is sending us to a surge that's going to overwhelm our hospitals, then we're going to act. Now, I would hope that the governor would act at that point because our hospitals are going to get overwhelmed. But if he doesn't act, then as a community, we're going to have to decide what we do. And there's a range of options for us. We're not there yet. We're going to continue to monitor the numbers. I will tell you in conclusion that I am concerned about what I see in the community because I think people are confused. They think that the governor said no more stay at home. Everything's open now. Yeah. We have a lot of people in our community that are still playing it pretty much the same way that they have, and I thank God for that. But I'm seeing more and more people out without face coverings. I'm seeing more and more people gathering. I see restaurants that are opening. I just hope it doesn't snowball. But at the end of the day, we're going to be watching the numbers, and either we stay above 80% or we don't, and then we'll act accordingly. If you want, and if you're with somebody and they say, "I want to open back up the economy, I want to do all these things," which of course we all want to do, the answer to those people right now, I think, is to say that the best thing we can do to help ensure that what the governor did work is if we all wear face coverings, maintain the 6 feet. And we're trying to catch up right now on the testing and the contact tracing that I wish the governor had given us another 2 weeks to really get ready for. But we're doing that rapidly to best protect the community.
Yeah, I think that's the big question on everyone's mind is the testing. And I heard one of your videos this week, you were saying that you have about 800 lined up for next week tests. And what capacity is enough? And how far behind are we on testing?
You know, we have more tests per capita in Austin than any other city in Texas.
Well, that's
a
poor ruler though, isn't it?
Yeah. I wish that was actually more impressive. The scientists tell us that we want to give in Austin, based on our size, Austin, Travis County, we want to be giving up to 2,000 tests a day. In our entire city, we've given just under 13,000 since the beginning of this in March. And we're wanting to give 2,000 tests a day. We have capacity right now to give 800 tests a day. It's looking like we're going to build that out to 1,000 tests a day here pretty quickly, and we're going to continue to build on that. People can go online right now and go through a test assessment for free. You don't have to have a doctor, but we have more capacity for that test than we have people going online right now to take that test. Anybody that has a scratchy throat that thinks that they might have a symptom right now should be signing up for that free test and taking it. But we have that capacity to build. We have the tracing capacity. You know, you can stay below 80% infectivity if everybody religiously wore masks, if everybody stayed home. The other way to stay below 80, to stay above 80% decrease in infectivity, is to be testing people so that if somebody gets the virus, you find out real fast. You find out quickly, so that the moment they have it, you can find out, they can quarantine before it spreads. The other way you do that is you have contact tracing, so that if somebody has a contact, you can immediately find everybody that they were with over the last 4 or 5 days and go talk to them. That's an easy thing to do right now. Well, if you ask me, everybody that I was in contact with over the last 2 weeks, I can tell you exactly who those people are. But if we all start going out to restaurants where there are 50, 60, 80 people, if we all start being in more groups and someone says, who have you been with over the last 4 days? The numbers become, you just can't do it. And as we have enough people now doing contact tracing to be able to handle the 50 new cases we're seeing a day, 20 to 50 new cases. But if we start seeing 150 cases a day, 200 new cases a day, 300 new cases a day, we don't have the army of contact tracers that we need. So we're working to build that out because we think we're going to need it.
Do we need more tracers then? Are you guys actively hiring for that?
At this point, they haven't started to crowdsource that, but it's coming. You can look at other cities like New York, like Philadelphia, like Boston, like Washington, D.C. It's coming. Right now, we don't have the need for it, so we're not doing that. We're going to have time to ramp up. Again, we're lucky here in that the people that do the modeling for the federal government, for the CDC, for the White House, the experts, happen to be University of Texas professors. So they are here. We started building out our data pipelines to get the data we needed on hospitalizations as opposed to cases weeks before anybody else in Texas was doing that. So from a data standpoint, we're in a really good place. We'll have the time to adjust. It's just that, if people ask me what I think the odds are that we're going to have another spike, no one knows the answer to that, but I'm really concerned. I think my guess is, I think there's a really strong chance that we're going to have to go back based on what I see happening in the community right now.
Yeah. So I have a question. It's a little bit unusual, maybe. What should be our individual intention here, Mayor? Like when this whole thing started, I looked at my family and I said, my goal is to keep all of you off a ventilator. So we need to hunker down. We just need to stay home. We need to I got a 21 and an 18-year-old. They think they're invincible, right? So you got to convince them. What should be our intention now, 6 weeks in, 7 weeks in, wherever we are now? I can't even remember what day it is. What is your intention, Mayor? What do we do?
In some respects, it's still the same. What we know is that, the children probably aren't going to get this. It's really rare for a child to get serious symptoms. What we know is kids your children's age, there's a high percentage of them, relatively speaking, that will get it and be asymptomatic. They'll just never know that they had it. But they would be deadly if they were to embrace someone in a nursing home. And they just don't know that. What we know is that a good number of the people who are dying in our community are in nursing homes. They're in the susceptible populations. Many of us, if we got this, would generally be okay. It's harder if you're above 65, but it's not just being above 65, it's being above 65 and also being obese. It's over 65 and also having diabetes. So, but within that group of people and within the folks living in nursing homes, if we're not cocooning those populations, we're going to lose thousands of those people. And really, this is really a community getting together to save those people as this is playing out. That said, I know enough people that have been put on ventilators. So it still happens for people that are lower than 65 and people that are healthy, and you just wouldn't expect to see it otherwise. I think right now we should all be doing everything that we can to avoid as many physical interactions as we can while the governor is dipping our toe into the water to give that the best chance we possibly can for it to work. We can't stay on the lockdown that we were just in for the next year and a half, 2 years. It just isn't going to work. So we pray for a vaccine, we pray for medicine, but we're also going to have to start dipping our toe in. But I believe that's going to require us to have the discipline to actually wear face coverings, to have restaurants that are logging people in, so that if you go to a restaurant and it turns out that someone waiting tables gets confirmed with a virus the next day, you can get contacted. Everyone in that restaurant can get contacted. So they can immediately go out and get tests too, to see whether or not they have the virus. It's all that additional and supplemental behavior that we're not ready for yet. That is the only way that this toe dip ultimately is going to work.
Is that on the roadmap to have things like that? That kind of logging of information, so we can all feel confident we would be contacted if we were exposed?
So it's part of the draft order that I have to be issued this week.
Oh.
I will tell you that the pushback from lots of people is great. Not only people who own restaurants that say it's an administrative burden, but also from people who are saying it's an invasion of privacy. The ACLU is concerned about creating a database of who is in what locations. I understand all of that. So I intend to put it into my order as being optional, the same way that I did initially with the face coverings. But I'll tell you, I will, when we get to a place where I will go into a restaurant, I will not go into a restaurant that's not logging like that. They can own the log, doesn't have to be the government's log. I'm putting in my order that it's not available to the police for criminal or prosecutors, criminal prosecution. It's only for the health department. The restaurant keeps it. It's not a government document. But this is part of that behavioral change. It's kind of like the new world that we're living in. My hope is that we will decide what is the right conduct in our city, whether the governor orders it or not. And even if he tells me that we can't order it here, I want those rules. And then we're going to give people a big sign to put in their storefront. An Austin business that's willing to do what the Austin community wants done. I want to know who those businesses are, because those are going to be the only businesses that I go to. And if enough of us do that in our community, then we'll see the behavior that we want to see. There are a lot of people in the city right now that are doing that now, and that's what we have to hope on. The other part of this, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was going to turn it just a little bit and then pitch it to Paige and to Allison. The other thing that we're doing here that I'm really proud of is we're recognizing that not only do we have this health crisis, but there's a huge economic crisis. And the federal funding is coming in and helping a lot of people that need help. $2 trillion is great. I wish that there was more flexibility in that money coming from the federal government, but a lot of that federal money does not get to everybody in our community. And we have a lot of people in our community that are not being helped by that. And I'm really proud to be part of a city council. You have Councilmember Ellis here, Councilmember Alter here. I know that Mayor Pro Tem Garza wanted to be here today, but she is traveling and unable to be here. But we have all worked really hard to take some of the resources that we have and get them to people in really quick and immediate ways. I don't know if Paige or Allison want to talk about some of the things that the council's done, the RISE Fund, the artists and that kind of stuff, just to let people know.
Yeah, absolutely. As some of y'all know, we have, is my volume okay? I want to make sure everyone can hear. We don't do a sound check with 100.
Looks good, Paige.
That's great. So with the RISE Fund, we were able to allot $15 million. It's going to be able to directly assist individuals in Austin. Councilmember Alter did a lot of legwork on something that's coming to council this week about CARES Act funding. I'm a co-sponsor. Jimmy and Allison did a lot of the legwork on making sure that some of that CARES Act funding is also going to be able to assist businesses. It's been really incredible to see over these past few weeks the struggle between public health and economic impact. And it's been really amazing to see some of our businesses do everything that they can to support service workers. There's now a music disaster relief fund. Councilmember Kitchen added some language into a program that assists artists to make sure that they could help pay rent with some of the money that's available for artists. So we've really taken an all hands on deck and all angles approach to being able to being able to allot money to assist those in need most. They said support the restaurants that are following the rules. We have been able to keep the.
I think we lost Paige.
We lost Paige. Allison, are you on the line?
Yeah, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Wonderful. Well, thank you all for being here. I want to thank you all for staying home, first of all. Our success as a city to get to where we are now and be able to make sure that our hospital system can weather the storm is because of people like you who took seriously our stay-at-home order and took those very important steps. So thank you. I think maybe I'll talk really quickly about some of the health stuff and then circle back to what Paige was saying. We had a presentation on Tuesday from our recently with respect to contact tracing and the health testing and the opening up, et cetera. And there was an enormous amount of information in there that our modelers were able to tell us. But the central message of what they told us was what happens now depends on each of our actions and how we respond as we begin to try and reopen. And if you look at what they presented and you look at what was presented by them elsewhere, it really, really makes a difference when we open up fully. And if we can keep ourselves even more at home these couple weeks, the amount of lockdowns, the amount of disruptions that we will have over the course of the next year can be more minimized. And so I really encourage you to take a look at some of that. I made all of that available in my recent newsletter, which you can find on my Facebook page at Alice Malta Frost, or you can look at ATXN to look at that. I know you guys like that kind of information, but the graphics really do speak for themselves. One of the things that we heard about at that briefing was related to the contact tracing question that Michelle raised, whether we were hiring folks. One of the things that we're doing is we've automated pieces of it that can be automated, and then that will be supplemented by the human contact, and you have to have kind of both of those pieces. And we're fortunate that our hospital system has been working really well together to help deliver that information. We are facing mixed messages from the governor, and it's really, really important that we enlist all of you to help tell those folks who can stay home still to try and stay home and to respect social distancing and wear those face masks. This was always a voluntary thing. We were never really enforcing things with fines and other things, and it continues to be mandatory, so thank you. On the part about what we're doing, I think the council has been working really hard on all cylinders to try to address the massive economic consequences. We're rolling out this week some initial funding that will go for rental assistance, and that's part of a lottery. It's a little bit over $1 million, but the data that we get from that will help us determine what our next steps are in terms of what the needs are in our community. We have provided, as Paige mentioned, creative art space aid and music aid and business loans, as well as immediate assistance needs to the nonprofits that are serving immediate needs, as well as to individuals through the RISE Fund. This week, we have a number of items that will be coming forward. One of them that the mayor and Paige are on there with Councilmember Hubbard Madison and Councilmember Flanagan and myself, is really putting out the fact that we have institutions like our small businesses, like our nonprofits, like our child care centers that need our help in order to survive. And so we're putting forward $10 million in additional loans for small businesses, $1 million in grants for them, $6 million for our nonprofits, in terms of grants and other support, and $1 million for our child care centers. And this is really, kind of life support, operational support. This is a step that we have to take so that they are going to be able to continue to provide the services that they provide to our community. There are a couple other things on the agenda as well. And we're really looking at how do we best spend the $170 million that we're getting from the federal government, given its very strict guidelines. We have to operate in a very strange environment, and we are trying to maximize how far that money goes so that it not only helps us in the immediate term, but allows us to get to the medium and long term and not just survive, but thrive as a city. And I've been really impressed with the leadership of the whole council and the mayor and Judge Eckhart in helping us to navigate this dual crisis of the economic and the health aspects. Thank you.
Let me go through, if I can, Michelle. So there's a lot of questions that people put on the chat window.
Yeah.
If you want to, I could probably run through some of those here.
Rapid fire, sure.
Pretty
Sounds good.
quick. The testing, like I said earlier, we're just under 13,000 tests. We're at capacity of 800, but we don't have 800 people a day signing up to take the tests. Part of that is who's eligible to take the test. We don't have enough tests to give everybody in the city a test, whether they have symptoms or not. And quite frankly, it doesn't make sense for us to do widespread testing of people that don't have a symptom, because you don't really learn anything that's actionable. You could find out today you don't have the infection, but that doesn't mean that tomorrow you don't get it. But the number of people who can get the test, in other words, the level of symptoms you need, is continuing to drop. So right now, if you're wondering, you think you have a symptom, go get the test so that you can find out. What are we doing on nursing homes? That's where our huge problem is right now. We've built strike teams that are going into the nursing homes. The biggest problem in nursing homes right now is staffing, because the staff that works in nursing homes, one is they're getting sick, not that they're afraid of getting sick. So it's getting harder and harder to get the number of people we need. So we're now getting into the sourcing of staffing for nursing homes. We're augmenting salaries for people that are working in nursing homes in order to be able to get that in a better way. Right now, we have the PPE that we need. We're building up supplies to be able to do that. Everybody is sourcing that independently. The University of Texas is 3D printing some of the materials that we need now to become a national supply chain. But we're watching that real closely, because I expect with this activity, we're going to see more cases. By definition, we're going to see more cases. So everybody is watching that as quickly as as tightly as we possibly can. There was a question about the number of people on the Barton Creek Greenbelt and in park areas that don't look like they're social distancing. What can we do as a city? The answer to that is not very much. I see these pictures from all over the community. We don't have enough sheriffs and police officers to be able to handle this. But again, we also don't have to achieve 100%. It doesn't have to be perfect. What we've been doing, and I've been getting pictures all along, has been good enough. But ultimately, this has got to be something that the community wants to do to a level sufficiently to make it work. What about antibody tests? So there are two different kinds of tests. There's the one that actually finds the virus. It's an RNA test. That's the test that we're using mostly now. There's also an antibody test that'll tell you whether or not you had the virus in the past, so that you have the antibodies now. Those tests, even the ones that are FDA approved right now, the results are not great, and they're especially not great in a community like ours that has an overall infection rate that's low. If you live in like New York, where 30% of the people that are infected, and you have a test that will give you 5% false positives, then you go into that area, 35 people get a positive, 30 of them are real positives, 5 of them are not. That might be close enough. It's an 80%, 90% proof. But if you go into a city like ours, where the number might be smaller than that, 2%, 3%, and 5% of the people are false positives, then over half twice as many of the tests we come back positive could easily be false positives. As we get more into this, the antibody test is going to become more and more important, and it might be the kind of thing that employers can use in order to be able to deploy staffs that are working. 20-year-old had it. Was asymptomatic. None of the people caught it because he quarantined. This is a virus we know that if we can find it and quarantine the people, the virus will die out. I'm looking here at the other questions.
What about that one that it seems to impact Black and Brown communities more? Is there something specific you're doing to address that, Mayor?
Well, we need to, and the reason for that is because this virus attacks people that are susceptible and vulnerable. And when you take populations and for generations you deny them healthy food and health care and support, you're going to see in those populations higher level of diabetes and cardiovascular disease just by virtue of that heritage. So this, in our city and in cities across the country, just really laid bare the disservice and the discrimination and the racism that we've had over a long period of time. So yes, those are our populations that are most susceptible. So we've opened up additional testing centers out in the eastern crescent of our city, rotating through locations so we can get more people tested. We're just about to do a pilot testing at a construction site so that we can learn more about what's happening in the construction crews in our city. If you go into our website, you'll see that it's like in 8 or 9 different languages right now to try and get that information out to as many people. There are special kinds of education programs we're doing on the east side of town because, I mean, to a degree, we're in populations that understandably so are less trustful messages that are coming from the government at a time when we really do need that trust. Again, pointing out to us in really stark terms some of the challenges that we had in the community. But if you look at the number of people in our city that have tested positively, or the number of hospitalizations, it is disproportionately members of the Hispanic community. And I expect that number to increase based on the trends that we're seeing in cities across the country.
Well, Mayor, I do want to thank you and our representative Paige Ellis and Allison Alter also for joining us. And I want to give you guys a shout out for canceling South by Southwest. I don't know if anybody's come up to you and thanked you for doing that. I know it was a hard decision. It was an economically very difficult decision for our community, but I think we are benefiting from that decision. So thank you. Thank you.
It was hard. It was hard because those were the first people that saw the financial collapse.
Mm-hmm.
But thank you for that.
All right.
I also want to extend my thanks to the mayor because I know that a tough couple of weeks, but I know that the council definitely appreciates all the hard work of the healthcare workers, front grocery stores, teachers, everyone trying to make this work. The longer that we can stay close indoors and protect each other, the better we're all going to be.
Great. Thank you guys. It's such a moving target. We can't thank you enough for spending some time with us this afternoon. I think we all learned a lot, and maybe we broke a little news. You know, as a former reporter, I love to break a little news. So thank you, Mayor, for being so upfront with us on all that stuff that's going on.
Michelle, Erica, thank you too.
Thanks.
All right, so we're going to pivot back to our presentation and talk a little bit about some things that you guys can do based on the information that we got today. I'm all over the place. Here we go. Here I am. You guys see my presentation again? Okay, so we heard about mail-in ballots. So what we can do right now is we can access Minivan. And I want to show you guys, we have a Minivan list. You guys can take a picture of this. This is for Southwest Austin. So in Southwest Austin, you can load this list on your Minivan and actually locate folks that are 65 and older who may need that mail-in ballot help. Now, we're not going to dip our toe into activism on disability. Of course, we have information now that we can share with our neighbors about the court ruling that is currently the law of the land. So we can certainly share that information, but it's an opportunity for us to actually get out and talk to our neighbors, or talk to our neighbors by phone about the mail-in ballot that they can do today. And I want to show you guys just what this looks like on the phone. So here I am. Oops, let me go back to Minivan. So I have this number loaded in my Minivan, and I want to show you what it looks like on the map. It's going to show all of Southwest Austin. So there's like 4,000 targets or so. These are all folks who would be eligible today for a mail-in ballot application. Let's see, I gotta find myself here. Okay, so let's just look at my neighborhood. And each one of these dots is going to be, of course, a person. And this is public information, so not, you know, sharing anything I shouldn't be. But I could click on one of these dots, and typically we would be block walking this, right? We'd be walking, we'd be knocking, we'd be talking to that person. We're not going to be knocking their door, and we're not going to be, you know, face-to-face talking to them, but we can locate them. And if we click on them, and I know this gentleman, he's a neighbor of mine, and I know he's a Democrat because I've spoken to him before. The script is a little misleading, so you might want to just say, hey, I'm your neighbor. I'm calling to make sure you know that you can vote by mail this year. You know, current law in Texas, someone 65 and older can request a mail-in ballot. And I want to show you under notes, you can log your conversation, but under details, you can see their voting history, their location where they would typically vote, and then their phone numbers if we have phone numbers for them. So you can think about this as a virtual walk. You could locate your neighbors, you can call them on the phone, you could provide them a follow-up with that link to the Texas Democratic Party website that we looked at, very simple to go through and fill out. Or if you want to drop off a mail-in ballot application to their doorstep, you could do that too, contactless, of course. Just say, hey, I'm going to drop it by. If you need any questions, you know, while you're filling it out, I'm happy to help you. So this is something that we can do today with that Minivan number. And again, this is just for Southwest Austin. If our other chapters want to do this too, we can help you set this up. It's a very simple query in the van system. We're not able to sift out people who may have already voted by mail. So it's still a good contact. You can say, hey, you know, you could just think about doing your little area. I probably should hop out of that, but you can think about doing, like, I could just do my little, you know, loop here and just contact them and say, hey, you know, just checking in on you. You guys doing all right? Do you need anything? You know, I might be running out to the grocery store or whatever. It's just another way for us to build community with folks that we would normally be talking with. Just to want something if you're just dying for something to do. The other thing, again, another pitch, we have postcards. We're writing them with a very generic November vote message to build up our stores. We're going to need at least 10,000 of these bad boys. They're bundled in 50 each on my porch. You can email us at blueactiondems@gmail.com, and we'll connect you with a contactless pickup for that. Okay, any other questions on things you can do?
Hi, this is Karen.
Hey Karen, how are you?
Hi there, just fine. Enjoyed the meeting. Finally was able to get on. We're doing postcards to voters. Do you have a specific message for postcards to voters right now?
I do have a link, and I can send this out. It's kind of a sample, you know, like one of those guides we put out at the meeting.
Exactly.
But here's one that Mary wrote, which I think is really, not to, make her the star of the show, but now it's time to turn Texas blue. Besides presidential race or critical races in the Senate, the House, and local elections, please vote. So it could be just something that simple.
Okay, thank you.
So just a generic November message we think is the easiest one to do right now. So thank you guys. Thank you. I know you've picked up a few bundles from my porch. So if you guys need the address, you can just again email blueactiondems@gmail.com.
Thank you. And could you put a picture of that one that you just read on the Blue Action, on the Southwest Austin Blue Action Facebook page?
Sure, can do.
I don't have my phone handy, so I let the battery die, of course.
Well, we have a document. I'll send the link out for that as well. And
Perfect.
I believe North Austin is doing cards, and I'm sure Bexar County is doing cards, and I know South Central is going to be doing cards. We're going to try to get organized and have one big batch of cards that everybody's doing. That way we can, economies of scale.
Excellent.
So yeah, awesome.
Excellent.
Okay, so I think I'm done. Let me just double check my list. I think I'm done. Now, one small tiny thing I want to show you guys. Typically, in the past, we have shared this form. Do you guys see that form? Travis County ballot by mail. We have shared this form with you. We have walked you through this form in the past. I have some of these forms on my porch. I don't think that this may be the best way for us to apply for a ballot by mail. So for those of you who feel like either you are qualifying or you know of somebody who does definitely qualify, I would again push you toward that Texas Democratic Party form, because it is so simple to fill out. It generates a letter for you, and then you simply sign it and turn it in. So we have this more complicated ballot for Travis County. There's nothing wrong with filling this out. I have done it. We have videos on how to do it. If you read carefully, it's not a problem. However, the Texas Democratic Party, I think, has done an excellent job of making it very simple. And I would encourage you to use that portal and to push folks 65 and over to that because of its simplicity. So with that, I'm going to be complete with my information. And look at this, we still have a few minutes and we can invite Julie Oliver to join us. And she's gonna walk us through a different tool. And I haven't even seen this, so this will be very exciting.
Awesome. Hi, everybody. It's so good to see y'all. At least pictures of you on screen.
I'm giving you a hug, Julie.
Hugs to all of y'all.
Do you need to share this? Do you need to share the screen?
I don't. I'm just going to tell y'all what we are doing, and the reason why we're doing it is, you know what Facebook looks like when y'all get on it, or for those of y'all who are on Twitter, you know what it looks like. It's like constantly, you put in something and it gets lost immediately in a feed, right? And unless you're thinking about, oh, I should go see maybe what my candidate is doing, it's not always top of mind because we're on our phones or devices or our computers. So we decided to go with a relational organizing app called Reach. I'm going to put it in the comments section how you find it. It's an app for your phone. And we wanted to go with this one because it's not invasive. I mean, there is an app on your phone, but a lot of the relational organizing apps actually require you to offer up all of your contacts on your phone and in your social media. And if my team didn't feel comfortable with it, I was not going to ask volunteers to do the same. So what this does, it's basically just a little thing that allows us to send you a push notification on your phone so that you can find out, oh, I have a town hall on Thursday. Or good news, like this Friday, yesterday, or 2 days ago, excuse me, Roger Williams, there's a Dallas Morning News article about Roger Williams taking funding of PPP for his car dealership in Weatherford. Not that there's anything inherently wrong with that, except he does sit on the Financial Services Committee and has very good relationships with bankers. And you had to go through a bank to qualify for any of the small business assistance. So it's a way for us to say, hey, there's an article that you could amplify then in your social media networks. And we really like it, again, because it's just a way for us to cut through the noise and get to you. And sometimes it's going to be information like, again, how we're connecting virtually through town halls and roundtables and events that we might be hosting. The other thing that we will be doing, especially as it gets closer to election time, is sending out calls to action. So we could send out something like, don't forget the application for voting by mail is due on X date. And so it's informational, but you could also let others know in your network. We feel like y'all know your networks best. We don't want to be invasive and come have an app go through your contacts. It's what Elizabeth Warren used for the presidential campaign. And we also, hang on, it's Progressive Canvassing is the app, and you download it to your phone, and then you go to Julie Oliver, and I'm putting all of this in the comments, to actually get invited to our reach. You go to julieoliver.org/reach-invite. And then finally, I'll say, if you feel like you need training on how to use it, Wednesday evenings, we have training on Reach. And it shouldn't be too terribly challenging, but if you even want somebody to walk you through, how do I download it on my phone, and then how do I go through, getting into your Reach, Julie? We have Wednesday evening trainings. So thank you all. That's really all I had. But I think this is going to be a great way for us to be able to cut through the noise. And we still need to organize like mad, because we can't go door to door. And this is a way we can do it. And it's a way for you to, whoever you feel comfortable with sharing your political views with, you can do that and kind of expand our reach. Also, like if your neighbors have recently moved and they're Democrats, you could say, hey, have you updated your voter registration form? So we'll push out notifications like that. If you're volunteering, do you mind wearing a Julie Oliver shirt? Those sorts of things. Mm-hmm. So again, it's just sending you little alerts, and it cuts through the noise of what's in the Facebook feed and Twitter feed.
Okay.
Thank you.
Awesome. And a good way to work your circles, as Lynn says. Yes, very good. I wonder how would a club be able to use something like that, Julie?
So that you could do, y'all could actually get a reach. You could get a Reach account, and have everybody download it. And then when y'all wanted to send push notifications, again, even email, what your email inboxes look like. Sometimes they get really cluttered. Yeah. I went down, finally got through this weekend from like over 100 emails down to 45. So I'm still, if you're waiting on an email from me, my apologies. So it allows you to cut through that noise. But yeah, certainly the Blue Action Dems could get your own Reach account and do the same thing. You'd invite people to join your Reach, and then you can notify people, and they get that little dot on their phone, just like any other notification.
Cool. All right.
Yeah.
Well, that's great. Thank you. Thanks for popping in. And again, on the Dinner for Democracy. Don't you love that? Isn't that so great? So Wednesday, May 13th, 7 p.m., Donna Howard, Vicki Goodwin, delicious meal from Galaxy. So we're supporting them with an order. And then you're helping us a little bit too, doing those things that we need to do to organize and to reach your neighbors come July and come November. So please consider joining and buying a meal and joining us online. So we'll be, it's a little bit of a testing ground, but we'd love to get your feedback and send along your questions for our reps. Thanks to everyone for joining us. It's been delightful to be with everyone, delightful information. I learned a ton. Wow. Thank you, Paige. Thanks to the mayor. Thanks to Glenn Maxey for joining us. We are going to do this, guys. COVID can't stop us. And if Roger Williams keeps pulling that crap that he's doing, it's going to be a easy walk to get Miss Julie elected and Wendy elected and all the way down the line. So we cannot give up hope. We need to keep working. We need to keep our positive mental attitude. We need to keep wearing our masks, and we need to keep staying to ourselves. Keep your hands to yourself. Keep yourself to yourself. Easy way to do that is to, of course, let us know what you need. write some postcards, go talk to your neighbors, get on your minivan list, and there's ways that we can stay engaged. So we do appreciate everything you're doing, and we would not be anything without all of you. So thank you. We'll send out all those links as a follow-up, and be well. And I really mean that. Be well. Stay well, everybody. Bye.